Welcome, welcome, welcome once again to Words Have Power. This is your host, Teresa Hawley-Howard. I'm so honored to be bringing these women to you this September. This is a powerful summit. The women on here are going to really inspire you, encourage you, uplift you, and just light a spark under your business as we go into the fourth quarter of the year. Welcome to the show and tell us about yourself.
Hi, I am Miasha Gilliam El. I'm a transitional strategist. I help individuals to change their lives mentally, physically, and spiritually through guidance of changing your thoughts in order to change your life.
That's so inspiring. I know a lot of times we get stuck in seasons of our life or in things that happen to us, or maybe just we don't know where to go next. We don't know what the next step is. And that's why today I'm so excited to discuss our why, because that is a powerful motivator for us to really step into that next level and to give us that little push sometimes that we need.
Yes, it really is. Discovering your why is a huge deal because, you know, on this journey, you have to figure out why you're doing something. You have to figure out your purpose in life. And I put the why and finding your purpose hand in hand. Because once you figure out your why, then you can begin to walk in your actual purpose that God has given you.
I think that's so true. And I think as we go through seasons in our lives, our whys sometimes evolve with us. They change a little bit. I know when I started my business, my big why was my grandkids. And they still are a big why. I've got 14. Right. But they're not the only why now, because as I grew in my business, I found that helping others and really being able to speak into women's lives and making a difference globally in the next generation of not only our cities, our communities, our country, but globally to impact women was a big why. And so I think sometimes we have to evolve our why and not just think small. You know, all I wanted to do was be able to go to the events my grandkids had and be able to financially help them with things that, you know, because my daughter's a single mother. So I wanted to be able to like pay for things at the school that maybe they wouldn't get to do as a, you know, having a single mother because she doesn't get support. And so I wanted to just be able to ease that because I knew what that was like. When I had them, I was married to their father, but I was the only one who worked. And so they missed out on a lot of things. And so my big why was to be able to have my grandkids be in athletics, have them go to camps if they wanted to, you know, events at school, whatever that looked like for them. But as they grew up and now we're teenagers, you know, that why is not as prominent. Now I'm helping with college, but you know, that why was not as prominent. And so I found that it evolves as we grow in our business and as we grow in a different season of our lives.
Yes, it does. My why evolved a lot. I started out with my why being my family, you know, and then as I began to learn more and get in different circles and network with different people, I began to see that God wanted to push me further in that why. And then my why became, I want to see a change in my community. And then the why evolved and became, I want to see the why. I want to see a change in the lives of the individuals that I talk to. And so I began to streamline my message in how I interacted with different people in order to have the best outcome. And one of the biggest things that I like to do is to educate people on changing their I ams, changing what they speak out of their mouth, because what we speak will manifest in our lives. And a lot of times we're saying all of these negative things subconsciously because we're so used to saying these things. I am sick. I am unhealthy. I am overweight. I am this. And so many times we get caught up in being used to saying these things that we don't even recognize the damage that we're bringing to ourselves or the things that we're causing to manifest in our lives. So that became a big why for me when I began to interact with different people and listen to the conversations. And, you know, I began to develop that desire to want to actually help people to change those I ams or educate people on the damage that that does.
I think that's so true. I remember when I was growing up, my mother would always say, we are so broke. We cannot even pay attention. I thought that is the strangest statement. but it was a constant in my life. And I know now that I say that thing, I say, you know, I am in between blessings. You know, I try to
Yes.
take that, because there are days that we're going to have those seasons that we, you know, things are tougher than they are. But you don't have to call it upon yourself. You can say, I'm in between blessings. I'm in a season of, you know, God's teaching me to downsize, or, you know, because we all have resources.
Yeah.
And if you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. Open your closet. You know, you have overflow.
Yes.
There are things in there
That's
that
so
you can put out on Facebook for sale. You can put on all them little sites. You know, there is something, if you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. I remember when my business started, it started by a heartbreak. You know, the publisher who was supposed to publish my book absconded with my money. And so 50 women's stories, I had paid the publisher. We had all pulled our money. I had paid the publisher. And so I felt responsible. And so I had to make it happen. But I remember thinking, I'm never going to make this happen. It's not, you know, all those things, all those negative things went through my head. And then I thought, you know, I can either stand in my truth and step up to the plate and maybe strike out, because you know, it happens. We're not all of them are home runs, but at least I tried. You know, at least I spoke into my life instead of all that negative stuff. And it's really hard when you come from generations of negative. I remember my grandparents used to say, my grandfather would say, oh, rich people, you know, they're not nice people. They're not this, they're not that. That's not true. God did not mean for you to be broke. He did not he did not send his son to die on the cross for you to barely get by and not be able to pay your light bill, or live on assistance, or never own anything, or not be able to bless others. That's not what he did. It takes money to run the kingdom of Christ.
That's right. He said we're to be lenders and not borrowers.
Right.
So
they need to quit pulling those scriptures that say, you know, poverty. That's not true. Women are supposed to be movers and shakers in their deal. You are supposed to start a movement. You are supposed to lead other women to financial security, to owning their own homes, to owning their own cars, to be able to bless another woman. I remember I went with my church group this week. We went and saw Priscilla Shower. Oh, it was amazing. We went to Awaken. Okay. And I remember the first time I went to an event with them. I've been at the church several years now. And the first time I went, it was all I could do to buy my ticket. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. It was all I could do. I had 4 kids in this house that I was taking care of. And it was all I could do I bought that ticket and I was like, okay, could we eat at Taco Bell? Because, you know, I'm not going to even out. I mean, it's not I'm just going to be honest with y'all and transparent. Yeah. And when I went this time, there's a lady that I know that I love her dearly, but she was in my shoes where I was. And so I was able to bless her. There's a t-shirt from the conference. Let me buy you the book we're all going to read, you know, and that is a powerful place to be when you know you were the other woman. When you know you've been there. Yes. And now you can stand in your glory and all the things that God has done for you, and you can pass it on to someone else. That's a blessed place to be. And other women don't want to accept. They're like, oh, no, don't get that for me. I'm okay. No, you need to learn to take your blessings, thank God for them, and let someone love on you, because that's a lot of problem that we have. You know, we define our whys as we want to do A, B, and C. And sometimes we don't define it as the impact we want to make, or maybe the movement we want to start, the things we want to see happen because we stood in our power, because we stood up for what we believed in, because we spoke our truth. And that's a more powerful movement than I want to be able to pay the light bill every month. You know, that's a more powerful why than I want to put shoes on my children's feet, which is a great thing to do, but you know that someone else would help you put shoes on your feet. Nobody else is going to help you make that movement. You know, you have to choose to walk in that purpose that God gives you. And we all walk through things.
Yeah. That's important what you said. It goes back to my why of wanting to make an impact in the community. When you said you gave back, you paid it forward. You know, you were in that situation, so you recognized that you had a sister that needed that assistance, and you didn't even take a second thought to it, but you jumped right in and you paid it forward, not to get anything back in return, but just to show her the very love of God, just to show her that there are people that care about where you are in your situation. And that in itself is so powerful, because like you said, so many of us lose sight of that as sisters. And one of our jobs is to uplift each other, to encourage each other, to pull each other in on this journey, and to, you know, push each other into our purpose and our destiny. When we see somebody down, to give them that encouraging word, to tell them they can make it, to tell them not to give up, to tell them don't get frustrated, don't get anxious, or don't become angry, to tell them to change those people, those negative people that they're hanging around, and get around some positive influences in their life. Because the circle that you're in can kind of dictate your thought pattern. And if you're hanging around a bunch of negative people, you're going to become negative yourself, because you are what you hang around. You know, and our job is to influence our circle and not to have our circle influence us if it's negative. And so that's powerful, what you said about paying it forward. That's awesome.
We have to really take a time, you know, and every quarter is a good time to do it, because as you do your business plan, as you evaluate your goals, as you evaluate where you are standing financially, what went wrong, what went right, what you need to do differently next quarter, evaluate your circle the same way. Are those women pouring into you? Are they uplifting you? Are they pushing you? Or are they letting you just be mediocre? Oh, girl, you know, you don't feel like doing that. It's okay. No, it doesn't matter if you don't feel like doing it. Sometimes things just have to be done. I never feel like taking out the trash or washing the dishes. There's not anything that says, "Ooh, I want to wash the dishes. Hallelujah. Yes, the dishes are going to be done." No, that is not happening in my life. It's never going to happen.
I know.
And anybody who knows me, those laundry's not going to be on that top list either. I mean, I'll be honest, my husband will tell you, he's been like, "I have one pair of socks, dear." I mean, I hate to do the laundry. I don't mind washing it. I don't even mind drying it, because, you know, the machine does that. I don't like folding it. And I hate even more to
mine
put it
is
away.
the bathroom.
You know, I'm just like, can you just live out the basket? You know?
Yeah.
Just get your stuff out.
I hate cleaning the bathroom.
You know, and so, but nobody ever says, this is what I'm going to do. I clean the bathroom. Nobody ever says, oh, today I'm going to scrub this shower and it's going to shine.
No, they don't.
But you know it, you're going to have to do it. So it needs to be, there are some tasks in your business that are the same.
Yes.
Some things in your business, and then, you know, elevating your circle that are the same. There are some events you need to be at. There are some things you need to invest in. There are some women you need to love from a distance, because you can love her all you want to, but she may not be the one who's going to push you, elevate you, move you in a new circle. You know, she may not be that one. She may be a negative Nancy, as my grandma used to call them. You know, and you just be like, oh, Lord, every time I talk to her, when I leave, I am so depleted. I am so down.
Yes.
I'm just thinking, can I even get out of bed today?
Oh.
You don't need to be in your circle. You can love her. You can pray for her.
Yeah.
You can help her all you want to. But she's not going to change. She's not going to, her circle's not going to elevate if you don't teach her differently. It's the same for the next generation. It's the same for the women we were assigned to lead. If you don't teach them differently, then that's on you. If you keep allowing that behavior, then that's on you. And that's a big thing in your why. You have to know where you want to be in 5 years. What do you see in 10 years?
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
When I started, I remember I was like, one more book. I'm going to do one more book, Lord. And we are so done with this project. We're going to do one more book. You know, we're 170 books in now. I'm like, Lord, we're going to do 5 more years. We're going to do 5 more years, Lord. My husband is 62 this year. We're going to do 5 more years, Lord. I'm going to think about it. And then when I went to Canada, it was like, in 10 years, 15 years, because I'm only 47.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
I might be 48. I'm 48. Sorry. I lost a year there. You know, we all know what to tell the truth. I'm 48. Y'all don't do the math. Y'all know I'm 48. But, you know, we don't want to think about what's coming next, but I know that I'm not going to quit in 5 years. So I might as well go ahead and plan out my goals, my whys, what I want to accomplish in a 5, 10, 15 year, 20 year plan, just like you do your retirement if you work for somebody else. Where you want to be.
That's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it, because if you don't have a plan, you know, how are you going to fulfill purpose? You don't even have a guideline for what direction to go in, or which way to go, or who to get around, or what circles you need to be in. So we have to have a clear-cut view of what it is what we want to do and how we want to go about doing it. And that's one of the things that I love about one of the sisters we share in common, Cheryl, is when she talks about that vision board and doing those vision boards and putting your vision on that paper and making it plain, making that vision come to life, you know, because you're waking up and you're looking at it every day. You're feeding that positive aspect of your life, and you're seeing yourself where you want to be and not where you are. Because if a lot of us look at where we are, we will become doubtful. We will become sad and worry and become frustrated. But when we think about, like you said, that 10-year plan, that 5-year plan of where we want to see ourselves, that's exciting. That's like rejuvenating. That like gives you encouragement to keep pushing forward and to keep going.
That's so true. And with the vision, you know, that is biblically based. It tells us in the Bible to write the vision and make it plain. And that's one thing you have to do. I remember my first goals were like, I'm going to speak globally. Okay, that's great, go. But where would you like to be? So this year I was like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be there. These are the countries I want to impact. These are the women I want to touch. These are the lives I'm going to change.
That's right.
So you have to listen, you know, Canada.
That's right.
You know, the Caribbean, Jamaica, wherever you want to go, you know, the UK, I list them, you know, because that's what you have to do. If you're just vague, then you don't, it's like trying to hit a vast board. You don't have anything to aim at, because you have to know, okay, if I'm going to speak here, who do I need to be in connection with? What groups do I need to be?
There you go.
You know, what women do I know in that area that can say, hey, come stay with me, you know, because I may be speaking for free. But, you know, I'll have a chance to do books there. I'll have a chance to help women to share their stories. You know, whatever it is, whatever it looks like, you have to take those first baby steps. But you got to know where your end is, where your direction is going, and what your ultimate why is. Why did you start this business? Why are you on this journey? And what does it look like when you've accomplished what you want to do? When you've left your legacy, what does that look like? You know, I remember thinking, okay, all I want to do is help women in my area, you know, my little bit of Texas, and I want to broaden the laws, change the laws for domestic violence. You know, it was a small goal. I want to make it easier for these women to access and know where our shelters are and how to get help. And I want to make sure law enforcement is not just glossing over it and sending this woman back to her abuser and not telling her what she has. Those were my small goals. You know, that's where I started. And then I thought, it's an international problem.
Yes, it is.
Not just here. Sex trafficking is international. Our girls are being stolen at ages that, you know, 12, 13. So why am I waiting until they're in relationships? Why am I waiting until they've married, till they've had children? And then why am I not speaking up at the root of the problem? At the people who are doing this? Teaching them to be safe, cyber safeness, you know, because they talk to them online. You think you know that person on Facebook. No, you don't. And, you know what? And your why will get pretty clear when you have loved ones or children that are in that bracket of can be in trouble. You know, I have a child, a grandchild who got on Snapchat, and she Snapchatted with me and her, you know, people she knew. But the thing about Snapchat is other people who are friends with you can now Snapchat your grandchildren or your children because you have friends in common, just like Facebook. But the difference is that I can go back and look at what's happening on your Facebook, but I can't on your Snapchat because it disappears.
That's right.
So here they are propositioning, talking to this child, you know, trying to get her to send them a picture. She don't even know these people, you know, because we have public profiles. You know, you don't know who's on there trolling for these children. And
that's so true.
And, you know, it was a wide eye-opening experience for me because I thought, I have a voice. I have a platform. I can use it to save these other girls. Not just my babies, but your babies, everybody's babies. we have to speak. And so this year when I speak at 1 in 3, it's a foundation locally to me. It won't only be on not getting abused or what to do when you've been abused. It'll be about saving our children from ever having it happen. Because 1 in 3 women in the world experience sexual abuse.
Yes, they do. And it's amazing. It's an epidemic. And, you go, and I spoke at the Ascends Women's Conference here in Virginia, and it's amazing how many people have been affected by domestic violence, whether it's themselves that have gone through it, or whether they were raised in a household where it was happening, or whether they have a friend that it's happening to. It's like literally an epidemic. And, we as survivors, that's one of the whys, is to educate people on the domestic violence, to educate, like you said, prevention is better than cure. Why are we waiting till they get in relationships? Why are we waiting till they get married? Why not get them at middle school and elementary school age and teach the dangers of how people treat you, and improper touch, and, how people are to treat you at that age? If you learn at that age who you are and to love yourself, then that can almost prevent a lot of these situations that take place in these domestic violence situations. If these little girls know who they are.
And teaching you to love yourself despite your flaws, despite your imperfections, because when the abuser comes, a lot of times that's their niche. That's where they get in there and they, oh, you're a heavyset girl, you're not very pretty. They're not going to love you like that, I know myself, I came from a fatherless home. So the first thing I was looking for was somebody to take care of me, someone to, to say I love you, because I never had that from them. I didn't have that role model as a young child. And I think that back when I was there, single motherhood was just getting started. Now it's almost the norm. It's almost the norm that fathers are not in the homes. And so the problem with that is that we're not teaching them to love themselves. We're not teaching them to value themselves. And so if we get them at, say, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, before they're dating, before they're having those influences, we can't say before social media, because my grandkids are better on that phone than I am. I'm just going to let you know. My 4-year-old will be like, oh, let me have your phone, Mimi. You're not doing it right. Let me fix that for you. And so, but the thing is that we have to teach them to value themselves. And it has to become part of their why, to love themselves, to impact the world, to make a difference. And teach them that the end all is not to have a boyfriend, not to be a wife, not, and I know there are people who say, oh, that's not true, but it is, because you have to be able to stand in your own shoes as a whole person before you can be a valuable, loving person in a relationship, to be a healthy relationship. You have to know who you are. Because I guarantee you, I had no idea in my first marriage who I was. And that man, who was almost 10 years older than me, dictated and told me who I was for 22 years. And that's one of the things I always tell people. When you don't know yourself, that happens. You fall prey to that. And they groom you, and they teach you, it starts slowly. The words come, the disrespect comes, and then the smack, and then and then the beating, and by then you're so used to it, and you have 1 or 2 children, 3 children in the mix, and then you have that fear, nobody's gonna want me, and it's just a cycle. But what happens then, your children grow up in that cycle, and then you watch your children repeat it, and you have that guilt now, because you taught them that behavior. You taught them that's what love was. I can say the same. My mother was a single mother, and she put up with a lot from men, and I watched her put up from. So I was like, oh, when I get married, this marriage gonna last forever. Did I say this was going to be a healthy marriage? Or did I say this was going to be a good relationship? Did I say I was going to be happy in this relationship? Did I say I was going to be fulfilled? I was going to do great things. We were going to love one another? No, I said it's going to last. I'm going to endure it. I'm going to survive it, because that's what I was taught. And that's why it's so
God didn't teach us to be that. He didn't teach us. He didn't teach us to be useless. He taught us to be loved. He wants us to be loved and taken care of, just like he loves and takes care of us. We don't have to submit
Yes.
ourselves to those kind of situations and be subjugated to being abused. And a lot of people need to understand that, that that's not God's will for us. And when you find yourself in those situations, it is okay to leave. It is okay to seek help. It is okay to walk away. You don't have to stay in those situations.
And that's one thing that we need to teach. It is okay to get counseling. It is okay to reach out, because that's a stigma in our society.
Yes, it is.
That, oh, she's crazy, she had to go to that psychiatrist. That's not true. That's not true. Sometimes you go there so you don't go crazy, so you don't.
There you go.
So it don't take over, because you have to learn.
That's right.
To deal and cope with what you've been through, with the trauma you've been through, with the things you endured. Sometimes life is just too much.
That's right.
And if you don't know you and know your why, you need some help. You need to reach out. And that's why, as sisters, we have to come together and we have to support our sisters, and we really have to be the voice for the next generation. We really have to help them understand that leaving a legacy, making a change in this world, differences in your homes, in your communities, in your countries, in your states, in your globally. It starts with one person. It starts with you being willing to speak up and speak out.
Yes.
And to follow your why.
Breaking the silence.
Yeah.
Yes. Breaking the silence.
So each of us have to be willing to make that sacrifice. And then it's like a little ripple effect in a pond. That one little stone's going to just keep touching hearts, touching lives all over the world, because you were brave enough to stand in your why, to stand in your truth, and share it with the world.
That's right.
So tell our listeners how they can reach out to you, how they can get a hold of you.
I am on all forms of social media. I am on Facebook under Miasha Gilliam El. I have 2 pages. I have the fan page, and I also have my regular page, which you can find, again, just by typing my name in. Also on Instagram and Twitter and Periscope as well. I am MGE, and I kept it the same so it'll be easy to find. And, I have books on Amazon. I have The Miracles of Life, How I Survived the Silent Killer. I have Transition Your Life, Inspirational Guidance Through Uplifting Quotes. I have Shift On. And I was also so thankful to be featured in your poetry book, Teresa, one of your poetry books, which was awesome. And thank you for that opportunity. And so that's how you all can reach out to me on social media, all those avenues.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing with us and being so transparent in what's important to you and why it's important to have our why and to learn how to find our why, because sometimes that is in itself a journey.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And thank
you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm always honored to have you on. You always give a great interview.
Yes, it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all for listening. Remember, you can follow us. So just click the little button at the top if you want to follow, so you'll get new episodes as they come up. We're so honored to always bring you these powerful, powerful women, sometimes men, but mostly women, who share with you, inspire with you, encourage you, and really speak into your life so that you can make a difference in the world. And as always, remember, words have power. Let's use them collectively to change the world, starting with you. So speak up and speak out. Thank y'all so much for listening.